All right, everyone. Good news here. Well, we don't know how good it'll be, but it's a step in the right direction. Tulsi Gabbard the other day, openly declaring that if Trump calls upon her to be running mate, she's ready and willing. I think that would be a good idea. Don't make me do the Ted Cruz impression, MAGA fans. Donald, take her on as VP, Donald. This would be a good idea. Tulsi Gabbard is uniquely qualified for this particular position. I know I am at odds with certain other political commentators that are on the MAGA side of politics when I say this. I would love Rand Paul to be the running mate. I think that would knock it out of the park, and it would definitely give me a sense of optimism for our country, for example. Kristi Noem is still the top contender for the spot, I believe. I know that they're gaslighting people into thinking that she likes to kill puppies and goats and shit like that, but if you look into the context of the story, that was just a big legacy media astroturf. It was coming from all of the usual locations that simultaneously put out the same news at the same time. All of the paid liberal agitators on Twitter, all of the paid Insta accounts, and all of the usual idiots of the legacy media. But that being said, it would be damaging with some independent voters because astroturfing campaigns are done for a reason. It's because they do have an impact. Tulsi Gabbard has been tarred and feathered by the liberals as being a Russian agent, much like literally everyone else associated with Trump, so that's particularly meaningless. She is a military veteran. With the border and with diplomatic affairs, that does matter. The fact that she's a military veteran, it does matter quite a bit, and she also looks good. She looks the part. She's attractive, she's young, she's female. You really can't pick anyone better than, she's a former Democrat, so she takes some of the left-leaning independent vote, potentially, the people intelligent enough not to be taken in by the Mo Russia propaganda. It would be immediately slamma-jammed by the legacy media as evidence that Donald Trump is working with the Kremlin, but they're going to say that anyway, so none of the things that they can really fling at such a ticket are actually meaningful at all. They've already exhausted all the ammo. They're shooting blanks at this point. They're shooting as many blanks as a goddamn eunuch. It wouldn't matter. Having an individual like that in as the VP, I think, would be the best choice. She's also very well spoken. Can you imagine a situation where Kamala Harris has to debate Tulsi Gabbard? It would be over instantaneously. Tulsi Gabbard would steamroll her. Kamala Harris barely was able to kind of break even debating Mike Pence. One of the worst debaters, by the way, that I've actually ever seen. Imagine if you have someone charismatic like Tulsi Gabbard. Now, I know Kari Lake is also on the list. And again, charismatic, younger female. Also has journalistic experience, which is also meaningful. I would go with Gabbard myself. I would probably choose Kari Lake for a cabinet position. I would choose, actually, if I were Donald Trump, here's my star-studded lineup. Tulsi Gabbard is running mate, all right? Rand Paul, I try to get him in to lead the Senate at some point. I try to mint him in that role. I'd throw my weight behind him. I get Kari Lake as the White House press secretary, because she knows how to deal with journalists. Can you fucking imagine them trying to deal with that situation? Gonna be real goddamn difficult, by the way. Anyway, everyone has their proper role. And Donald Trump, if there was one glaring problem with his first term, and I'm hoping he gets a second and fixes this problem, it was his hiring practices. I think originally he believed that if he extended an olive branch to the uniparty neocons, he could get them aboard. So he says, okay, I'll choose some neocons in my cabinet. I'll get Bolton. I'll get Mad Dog Mathis, who actually did a reasonably good job. He just got TDS later. I'm going to get, some neocons in there. And the hope is that, like, the Bush Republicans and the Romney Republicans will play nice. We'll be doing a tit for tat. As he saw, you didn't get a tit for tat. They expected tit and tat and him to suck hind tit, which makes absolutely no sense because he's the most successful modern Republican since first-term Reagan. That's because they're unipartyists and neocons and they don't really want to win. He needs to surround himself with the best and brightest. I can't think of anyone more charismatic than Tulsi Gabbard that would be on that shortlist other than Kari Lake, who probably would not be as good in that role. The thing is, here's the dynamic. Thinking about it solely from political strategy. Tulsi Gabbard, again, military veteran, very meaningful. I realize that Kari Lake has journalistic experience and that matters too. But she is core MAGA. She's not been a Democrat. Tulsi Gabbard brings new breath to Trump's populistic movement in the form of having been a former Democrat and doing a 180 on like guns and stuff, seeing the light. She can tell that story and say, well, you know, when she's talking to Kamala on a debate stage, well, I used to have the same views as you on this issue, but I was intelligent enough to realize that I was wrong. You seem stagnant, incapable of change even when you're confronted with evidence that what you believe in is not actually reality at all. Carrie Lake can't really do that other than on the journalism issue. I would choose her as White House press secretary myself. I would probably get Tim Scott in there. I'd probably have him in some sort of role. I'm not exactly sure which one. You can give him, maybe he knows a lot about farming or something like that. Give him Secretary of Agriculture. Trump needs to line up a good potential cabinet. It's not just about Trump at this point. He needs to show, I think, some MAGA supporters that like him, they want to vote for him. One of the biggest glaring problems was his hiring practices, the people that he surrounded himself with. I was able to excuse some of them. For instance, John Bolton. I stated, and I think correctly, John Bolton is definitely a fox in the henhouse. But he's going to scare the ever-loving bejesus out of other countries, and so hopefully there are no major diplomatic or military problems, because he's known as a Bush-era warmonger. It worked while Trump was president. It did work. It was maybe not the greatest decision. John Bolton showed his true colors and turned turncoat the second that Trump was out of office, but it did work at the time strategically. But there were some cases in which I really couldn't make an excuse for Trump's hiring practice. I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? You've got all this boardroom experience. You should know by now, after several years, the neocons ain't going to play nice with you, so just strong-arm them. I think that he should take up Tulsi Gabbard as running mate. If he does, I will be very pleased with that ticket. I'm going to vote for Trump regardless of who he chooses. Even if you were insane enough to choose Mike Pence again, I would still vote for Donald Trump as the superior candidate. I would just be praying for his good health and saying, God, I hope he lasts these 4 years because it'd be a problem otherwise. But with Gabbard or somebody like that in there, I'll sleep easy. I don't need to worry because I know that the person that would be taking up the mantle of the presidency should something terrible happen would be a competent leader. Yes, I would trust her as president of the United States. That's just my feeling. I would also trust Lake. I would trust Rand Paul. There are other people on that list. If it was like even if he was nuts enough to choose Rubio, yeah, with the water bottle and the small hands jokes and stuff like that. At the very least, I would know that my republic wasn't in imminent danger if somebody like that were VP. But there are better alternatives. At the very top of the list is, in my opinion, Tulsi Gabbard. In the comments, I'm sure some of you will disagree with me. Well, I don't think that her conversion to being a conservative is actually genuine. I think she's doing it for self-serving purposes. Ah, grasshopper. So is Trump. Trump is doing this mostly for his ego and to secure his legacy as a human being. That compels him to try to do a good job. Tulsi Gabbard's not going to immediately do a 180 and abandon populism knowing that she'd be a one-termer with 30% approval. She'll be compelled by her own constituency to generally do the right thing. I think that her conversion is genuine. I'm a good reader of people and their body language. Tulsi Gabbard does not give off the vibes that I get from some people out there who claim to have had some sort of religious or political conversion, but you know that it's only for their own self-serving benefit. I think that she is, in part, genuine because she was thrown under the bus by her own party. Partially, it's vengeance. Well, abandoning the Uniparty because the Uniparty decided to abandon you. What better impetus to do a good job and actually maintain populism? I rise in strong support of Tulsi Gabbard being chosen as running mate. I hope she's on the short list. That's about all. Peace out.